Hi there, it's Meonicorn. Today I'm going to talk about my June wrap-up. I cannot believe June has already passed. I went to Barnes & Noble one day and I saw them selling some planner for 2018. I freaked out. That's the scariest thing that I saw in 2017. I have read 9 things in June. 5 of them I have already wrapped up in the Read-A-Rama Readathon wrap-up. And they are the poem collection What We Buried, the novel The Hate You Gave, novel The Strays, and manga Live Along, and graphic novel Groot. If you want to check any of my thoughts in those 5 books, I will leave a card here and link in the description box. Other than that, I have read 3 other novels and a non-fiction book. The first novel I want to talk about is Desperation by Stephen King. This is a buddy read for me and Irina from Beautiful Pages. I'll link her channel down below in case you haven't checked her out yet. She's this lovely and amazing person and has this lovely channel. The book starts with 5 different group of people when they're on their road trip. Although they have different destinations, they somehow all end up driving on US 50 highway and they met this weird police officer, and in the end they all come to this town called Desperation and weird things start to happen. This is my first Stephen King novel and I was afraid of it will be scary. However, because we only read 1 chapter per day and we finished the book in 20-something days, so we have plenty of time to discuss together and imagine what will happen next. The book ended up not very scary for us, but somehow creepy. And I know that Stephen King has written a variety of different genres of books, so I don't know if the writing style of Desperation is a typical Stephen King writing style. Sometimes we feel uncomfortable with his writing in the book. The book has a dozen of characters. Sometimes I feel the female characters in the book is not strong enough, or somehow they are smart at the beginning of the book, but with the story going on, they became not that wise. Overall, I feel like Desperation is not a great start for Stephen King novel, so I give it 3 out of 5 stars. However, I really enjoy the discussion and buddy read experience with Irina. And now I have this urge to read The Shining for some reason that I cannot describe. If you think that's a good idea, please comment down below. And the next novel I want to talk about is Chemistry by Wang. This book is talking about a chemistry PhD Chinese American student's life, and she was suffering from depression, so this book mainly is how she deal with or lived with her depression every day and how she doesn't want to complete the PhD program. And this book is really frustrated, at least for me, because I was constantly debate with myself if I need to give the book a 2-star or a 4-star. Our main character moved from China to the United States at her age of 5 and she doesn't have a chance to go back. But she always remembers that her identity is a Chinese American, so she always says something like, oh, in China we do blah blah blah, or in China we say XYZ. So here's the problem. What she said or mentioned is so cliche and so dated, and for Chinese people we don't say that or do such a thing nowadays. Maybe we do that like decades ago. So that's bringing up the problem that I have with the Chinese American writing, because they always mention or they always say something like Chinese people do this. However, I feel like their awareness or knowledge about China stayed in the 80s or even the 70s. Hi there, it's editing Meonicorn and it's very late at night, so I don't have any lighting. However, I want to clarify something. First of all, if the book is set in a historical period of time and it is a historical fiction, I think it's totally fine, okay, if you mention something like Chinese people do a certain way historically. However, we changed a lot and something we don't do them for years and something is simply not true. This novel is set in the present time, so the way that she's talking about like Chinese people do a certain thing really made me uncomfortable, because she's not talking about Chinese American do a certain thing. She's specifically emphasized that Chinese people do a certain thing, but I don't want to represent by her in such a way. So that's why I struggled a lot with this book. And if the author can change the writing here to Chinese American do a certain thing, I find it very realistic because it will be our own voice. I hope you understand, and that's all I want to clarify. Let's go back to the review. And some of the examples she gave for her Chinese American identity is so not realistic. For example, her boyfriend in the book said every time she say, turn off the lights, she will say, close the lights. Or, I have notes here. Or she still cannot tell left or right in English. But you know what? She came to live in the United States at the age of 5. Oh my gosh, age of 5. And personally, I started learning English from like middle school, and I can say turn off the lights and I can see left and right. And every time she mentioned that girls are not for science, I want to throw this book out of the way but with my feelings and anger developed for this book, I finally started to understand her at the very end of 1/3 of the book. I think maybe she mentioned China or Chinese cliche so much in the book and so frequently in her life, it's because she's afraid to lose her Chinese American identity. The reason why I want to give 4 stars about this book is because I suffer from depression for years, and the description of depression part of this book is so realistic, and I'm so related to the character when she has some behavior due to her depression. The whole book was written like the character is talking to herself, and sometimes she even loses the ability to talk to herself, and that's how depression feels like sometimes. So for that part, I really related to and really want to give the book a 4 or even 4+ stars. However, there's some parts that I want to give the book 2 stars. So what should I decide? And next novel I finished is Waking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel, and this is a sequel to Sleeping Giant by Sylvain Neuvel as well. And this is a science fiction series talking about one day people on the earth starting to find this giant hand, and they found other giant body parts on different places of the earth, and they started to put them together. And I couldn't say a lot about the sequel, but we met some new characters in the book and we met some old friends in the book. Although one character is super annoying, that doesn't affect how good the book is. And after reading Waking Gods, I found the author on Twitter said there will be a 3rd book, so I was super happy about it. The last book is called Furiously Happy by, I believe, a journalist. I will put her name here. And this is a book about her talking about her depression and other mental illness issues, and how she was both furiously happy and dangerously sad. I feel I have so much to say about this book because I can relate 80% to her stories. In this book, she's talking about her mental illness history and how people surround her doesn't understand from the beginning, and now how her support systems are. I listened to the book by audio format, and the author narrated her book by herself. And sometimes when listening, I feel so lucky for her and I feel so proud of her because she's positive to seeking for help from other people or professionals, and she has her amazing husband who support her, and also she's brave enough to bring up her depression to the rest of the world. If you want to learn more about depression or other kind of mental illness, or you are suffering from mental illness for yourself like me, I highly recommend you to listening to the audiobook of this book. Moving on to 2 books that I'm currently reading. One is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is the first book from my A to Z project, and I'm currently enjoying it, so we'll see how I feel after I finish it. And the other one is, of course, One Piece. Actually, I'm a lot behind with the One Piece read-along, and currently there are 2 One Piece read-along happening at the same time. I'll link all their info down below. One starts a month ago, and one starts from today, July the 1st, I think. Everybody in the read-along is already halfway of the book, and I'm still only 1/4 of the book. And I think because there's something happened and I put the book down, and when I pick up, I have this feeling that I need to reread from the beginning. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to finish this book before summer ends for sure. And for reading this book, I pick up a bookmark for myself that she believed she could, so she did, to encourage myself. And that's all for my June wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this video is somehow helpful. However, I feel I was rambling a little. And if you read any of the books, or if you are interested in any of the books, please let me know on the comment. And if you want more bookish content from me, please subscribe to me so that I can see you next time. Happy reading! Bye!